Hi, I'm Diane. I'm going to show you some of the different works of fiber art at the Milwaukee Art Museum. Fiber art includes anything that has components made of natural and man-made fibers like fabric or yarn. Today we're going to take a look at weaving, wall hanging, embroidery, and quilting. Ready to take a look? These two pieces are called Raffia basket and pitcher. An American fiber artist named Ed Rosbach made them in 1973. Raffia is a material that looks like string or twine and is made out of fibers from raffia palm leaves. Rosbach studied ceramics, weaving, and basket making, and is known for using unusual materials you don't often see in fine art pieces like plastic and newspaper. Look at the pitcher on the right. Usually pitchers hold water or other liquids. Do you think this pitcher could hold water? You're right, it definitely can. That's because there are lots of big holes all over it. This pitcher is woven, which means the pieces of raffia cross over and under one another. Look closely at how a basket is put together the next time you come across one, and you'll see the different parts going over and under one another, forming horizontal and vertical lines. The basket here on the left is not the best example to look at for this purpose. It's unlike most baskets you might see, but it is like the pitcher. It has spaces between the raffia pieces. Ed Rosbach could have woven a pitcher with a solid surface, tightly weaving the strands of raffia. But instead, he wanted a surface with open spaces. To make this, he formed twisted knots where the vertical and horizontal strands of raffia meet to hold the strands apart. Do you see where the raffia is knotted? These are art pieces that aren't meant to be used, but imagine that you were to use them. Each measures about 10 inches tall by just under 10 inches wide. What kinds of things could you put inside that wouldn't fall through the holes? The next piece is also by Ed Rosbach, but it's very different from the other two. It's called Modular Construction Hanging. Rosbach made it in 1968. It is also made of raffia along with cotton, linen, and silk. Rosbach used a device called a loom to weave the different materials together to make different designs. This type of weaving is often intended to be hung vertically on a wall. You might have rugs in your home that are woven in a similar way but are kept flat on the floor. What do you see when you look at the different shapes and colors in this artwork? Rosbach liked to mix different kinds of materials to pull your eye around to different areas of his pieces. I see stripes of different widths and lengths going up and down all over. I notice some lines going across too, and also some shapes that remind me of eyes or leaves. What things do you notice? This next piece is also flat, but it's very different from the last one. This is an English coverlet from around 1780. A coverlet is a layer that goes on a bed for extra warmth or decoration. You can see that this coverlet has a lot of decoration. See how the pale peach background looks shiny? That's because it's made of silk. The flowers all over are also made of silk. They were embroidered on the coverlet with silk thread. Embroidery is a technique for decorating fabric and other material using a needle and thread. Check out our other Family Sunday videos for instructions on making your own embroidery. Embroidering is like drawing using stitches of thread instead of a pencil, a marker, or another drawing tool. Layering thread with different types and lengths of stitches creates depth and texture the way shading might do the same in a drawing. Can you see how each individual petal and leaf on this coverlet stands out from the others? This next piece might look similar to the last one, but we're going to take a close look and notice some differences. This is a quilt made around 1930 in the United States, probably in Ohio. A quilt has a function like the coverlet we just saw. Quilts are made by sewing together layers of fabric and padding on top of one another like a sandwich to provide warmth and decoration. Check out our other Family Sundays videos for more about quilts. See the flower and urn pattern on this quilt? Instead of being made using thread like on the embroidered coverlet, this design was made using a technique called applique. Applique is the technique of sewing small pieces of fabric onto a larger piece of fabric to create an image or pattern. Each of the colorful areas you see here, the reds, oranges, and yellows of the flowers, the blue of the urns, the greens of the leaves and the border, they were all carefully cut into a shape, placed onto a large white cotton square, and then attached with stitches around the outer edge. If you look really closely, you can see that there are also stitches added to create different petals of the flowers and the texture of the blue urns. The stitches on this quilt were used as a way to draw, just like those in the embroidered coverlet we were looking at. Take a look at the spaces between the colorful flower bouquets. Do you see the stitched flowers between the applique flowers? If you look between those stitched flowers, you'll also see a stitched pattern of crisscross lines that goes all the way out to the edges of the quilt. While the applique stitches that attach the small colorful pieces of fabric to the large white square might only pass through that top layer of cotton, these stitches all around go through all the layers of the quilt, holding the layers together and keeping them from shifting around when the quilt is used. You'll often see quilt makers get fancy with these stitches, using them to create an extra artistic flourish like this quilt maker did. Thanks for joining me on this fiber art tour. I hope that learning about these pieces might make you take a second look at the fiber arts around your home. Hope to see you at the museum soon. Bye!